Hello students, welcome back to the biology class. So in the last class we finished this fifth chapter, that is the morphology of the flowering plants, and because due to the COVID-19 situation the CBSE has changed the syllabus. So the sixth chapter is no more in the present academic session. So the sixth chapter was regarding the plant anatomy or the tissues of the plants. So that has been removed. So today we are going to start with the seventh chapter, therefore that is the animal tissue. In the ninth class also you have done a bit about the epithelial tissue. The types also you have covered in the ninth class. So what we are going to do in this chapter is more elaborate explanation of the same things which you have covered in the ninth class also. So we all know that the cells are the basic unit of life, and cells with the similar functions and similar structures, they form a definite layer or mass. So the tissues can be in the mass or tissue can be in the layers, and such a group of cells is considered as tissue. So we can define cells as the group of cells with similar embryonic origin because they originate from the same mother cells or the progenitor cells, and they have specific functions to perform. The term tissue was coined by Bichet, and that's why he is also called as the father of histology, because the study of tissues is called as histology. Histo word stands for tissue and logos means study. This term was coined by Mayer. So tissue term was coined by Bichet, and histology, the histology means the study of tissue, was this term was coined by Mayer. The next thing to understand is that in the adult vertebrates there are four main types of tissues, and these are namely epithelial cells, epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue. So in today's class we will start with the epithelial tissue. The word epithelium comes from the word epi means above, and thelia means nipples. So the scientist who was studying the skin of the nipples, he is the one who discovered a thin layer of cells which surrounded the nipples. That's why the name became epithelia. From there it became epithelial tissue. But today we know epithelium is not just found over the nipple, it is found throughout the body of the animal. So epithelial tissue or epithelium word was coined by Ruisch, and we all know it is present as the lining. So where are epithelial tissues present basically? So epithelial tissue is present as the lining of the external and internal exposed parts of the body. Second, in the open and closed cavities of the body. Third, all the blood vessels, lymph vessels of the body, and all the glands and the ducts of the glands. So all these portions are lined with epithelial tissue. What are the general characteristics of the epithelial tissue? So the general structure of epithelial tissue is, the first thing we need to remember is that epithelial tissue can originate from any of the embryonic germinal layer. In ninth class you have done that two main things which you learned in the ninth class was diploblastic and triploblastic origin of the body. So what is diploblastic and triploblastic? During the embryogeny, that means once the zygote is formed, the further development of organism occurs in such a manner that two layers may develop or three layers may develop. So accordingly, if two layers develop diploblastic, if three layers develop triploblastic. So what exactly this means is that the various parts of the animal's body, whether they develop from two layers or they develop from three layers, and those two layers are called as ectoderm and endoderm. And if there are three layers, then they are called as ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Ecto means outside, meso means middle, endo means inner. So in the case of humans or the higher forms of animals, the epithelial tissue originates from all the three layers. So epithelial tissue can develop from ectoderm, can develop from mesoderm, or can develop from the endoderm. and the tissue consists of a basal surface and a free surface. So when you draw epithelial tissue, you have done this in the junior classes also. One surface is the basal surface, the other surface is the free surface. So there are two surfaces of the epithelial tissue. So the tissue consists of basal surface and a free surface. The basal surface lies in contact with a non-cellular supporting layer called as the basement membrane. So in this picture you can see this is the epithelial tissue, some cells I have drawn, and this is the basement membrane. So the free surface is in contact with the cavity, or maybe anything is present here like stomach's cavity, and the bottom layer is in contact with the basement membrane. Now what exactly is basement membrane? It is non-cellular supportive layer which separates the tissue from the underlying connective tissue. So just under this basement membrane we have the connective tissue, because epithelial tissue does not get the blood supply. So from where the nutrition will come, from where the gaseous exchange will happen. So there is basement membrane which is non-cellular, and just under this we have connective tissue which will have blood supply also, nervous supply also, and that's why exchange and sensory system, everything is possible with the help of epithelial tissue. So basement membrane separates the tissue from the underlying connective tissue, and remember this layer is non-cellular in nature, it is supportive in nature. Now there are two parts of the basement membrane. The basement membrane is made up of two layers, namely the basal lamina and the reticular lamina. So I have mentioned it here. Two portions are basal lamella and the reticular lamella. Lamella means layer, basal means below, reticular means which forms a network. So basal lamella is upper one. It is synthesized by the epithelial cells itself and is made up of mucopolysaccharide, you have done this already, and glycoproteins. And the reticular lamina is lower and is made by connective tissue cells, and it is rich in reticulin fiber and collagen fiber.